by the way, I know for a fact that Ryan T. Husk, this gentleman right here,
does not fear the banana. The Orville is good enough for me.
The Orville is Star Trek, The Next Generation, The Next Generation.
The Orville is creative and genius.
Wow. Genius Roddenberry. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode so that you don't have to. You still can. With us, as always, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, superstar, comedian, writer, musician, great musician, good stuff recently. Jennifer Durst, actress. I was going to say comedian, but you're just a funny actress. You're just funny, right? Actress.
You remember.
Instagram, savant. You know her as Jurassic Jen. We know her as Jurassic Jen. Jennifer Durst. How are you?
Good.
She's known among certain circles as Jurassic Jen.
It's growing now. It's like I want to go back to Jen Durst now. I'm like, it's okay. You could call me by my real name now.
You got it, Jurassic. So today we are reviewing The Orville, the first episode of The Orville called Old Wounds. By the way, if you want us to watch the first episode of a show, of a series, say WTF Frasier or WTF ER, nobody's going to say that, in the comments below, which means watch the first ER or watch the first Frasier, and we will review it, talk about it, watch it, like it, hate it, whatever. So
also go ahead and drop us a like, put that thumbs up, and then also if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and then as Ryan likes to say, punch those bell notifications in the face to get the notifications from the bell. Or something like that. I forget exactly what it is that you like to say.
You just looked into the future because I'll start liking it from now on. Sorry about all this, Jen. She's looking at she's like, what's happening? Are we recording?
Just going along with it. Like, yeah.
So, The Orville, by the way. Michael, would you like to tell us what The Orville is regarding?
I sure would. The Orville is set about 400 years in the future and follows the crew of the titular spaceship who face the dangers and wonders of outer space while dealing with the familiar problems of everyday life. In this episode, a newly promoted starship captain of the exploratory spaceship USS Orville is taken aback when he learns that his ex-wife has been assigned as his first officer. Yeah.
I don't.
That's what we watched.
Well, let's start there, Jen. How would you like it if your ex-wife or your XO became your XO?
Well, it would depend on how we left things off. And it seems like in this situation, it wasn't a good situation how they left off. So just like him, I would feel like crap.
Right. Now that we got the most important questions out of the way, here is how we start the show. We talk about what did you expect and what did you get? I just realized, I'm like, why am I even talking about that? We got to get
I was going to say, I was like, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Where was the...
You skipped stuff.
I know. So what did you expect and what did you get? I'll tell you what I expected. Now I have to go with what I expected the first time before I watched it, because this is a second time around for me. The first time, what I expected was something that was going to be a little too comedic for my taste. I want sci-fi with comedic elements, and I was worried that it would be comedy with sci-fi elements. That is what I expected, and that's also kind of what I feared, because I wanted to like it. What about you, Michael? What did you expect?
Well, I expected a science fiction comedy. So it actually, for me, I wanted a comedy. I wanted to have a comedy set in space and a science fiction setting on a spaceship with spaceship officers and like all. It was for me when I first, and like a lot of people too. I think that I expected just from the original trailers that they put out. This is also because this is my second watch as well. So I'm talking about back a year or two ago when this season 1 came out. Like I was expecting nonstop laughter. Seth MacFarlane, right? I mean, Family Guy, the American Dad, and the Cleveland Show. Like I was expecting his brand of humor put into a science fiction show. That's what I wanted.
What about you, Jen? Before you ever watched The Orville, what did you expect based on the trailers that we all saw, or maybe you didn't see? What did you expect?
Well, this is my second time watching it too, but I haven't watched it since it first came out, so it was like a good way to rewatch and stuff. But when I first watched it, I expected not to understand it because don't hate me, but I've seen a few Star Treks, but not like
Star Treks. Don't hate me, but I've seen a few Star Treks.
But like I never fully like got into it, or sometimes didn't understand things. And I'm in conversations sometimes where I'm like, what's this and what's this and all that. So I watched it because I am a fan of comedy. I do love Seth MacFarlane. And I do love like his creativity and everything like that. So I expected to not understand it as well. I thought it would like be more understandable to people who've seen Star Trek. But like that's not what I got. I got the comedy from it and I understood it and loved it. So
great. Good to know.
Right, Jen, skipping ahead to the next question. All right.
That's an A+ student right there. She's predicting.
This is the third time I keep skipping.
It's because you're a half full kind of person or half empty. You're like, this is what you always want the yin and the yang. You can't do one or the other. So
I just talk a lot, so I keep going when I have to like cut off. So yeah.
That is a true statement. I'll tell you what I got. I got honestly exactly what I expected when I watched it the first time, which was a comedy set in a sci-fi world that didn't fully work, that was close and that had a lot of potential and just needed a little bit of tweaking. And I had a lot of confidence in Seth MacFarlane. I knew, look, whether it's the first episode or the first season, at some point he's going to figure it out because he's a super smart guy. He understands the business. He's not a one-trick pony. So I wasn't worried at all. And it was about what I expected, especially because we did see all the trailers beforehand. So I remember most of the humor that I saw in the trailers, I was like, not the best humor. It seemed like it might be a little silly, a little lowbrow. But that's what I got, I would say. What about you, Michael?
I'll tell you what I got. I was a little bit thrown when I first saw this show because it was less comedy than I was expecting. I was expecting just to be like Family Guy in space. It's kind of like what a lot of people I think thought it was going to be. Just kind of. But yeah, we saw most of the jokes in the trailer, and like a lot of them, I agree that they weren't. Not every joke did hit, but I think what they did really well. And what I feel like I got was like just a really good sci-fi show. Like I said in the intro, Star Trek: The Next Generation, where they're cursing and drinking beers on their way to the ship, and just those kind. It was the comedy that was there. It was fun, and I felt that it worked for me. I didn't think it was completely out of place, but what I got than the comedy part, and what I didn't really expect, and what I'm glad that I got was just a really good science fiction show like Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Now, Jen, in that first episode, what did you get?
I got my comedy. I'm very big on like things that people might not find that funny or pick up on. I do. And that's why I love Seth MacFarlane, because like he does these little things that maybe sometimes people won't notice, and I'm just like laughing So I got my comedy, and I did understand it, and I felt like the characters were like funny and relatable. So I got everything. I didn't expect to understand it, like I said, but I did understand it, and I did love it, and I thought it was hilarious for the first episode. So I thought it was a good first episode. Like, it kept me, I enjoyed it. I'm trying not to like go ahead, so don't mind me.
You're so considerate. Little do you know that after this, we really don't know where we're going after this. We just kind of talk about whatever. But it did, upon this viewing, I feel like I enjoyed it more this time around than the first time around. The first time around, I remember thinking, I almost enjoy it. And I thought, what they need to do is worry about making a good show and good stories first, and then tossing in the jokes, because Seth MacFarlane can make great jokes. I'm not worried about that, but they need to focus a little bit more on making a good sci-fi show. Spoilers, they do end up doing that right after that, because I'm sure they looked at it. They've got the same impression we did, or maybe, you know, people told them that or whatever. But this time around, watching the first episode, I actually, maybe because I knew what to expect this time, but I thought the jokes landed better than they did the first time I watched it, because it was not so much what was written, but how it was delivered. Like, I really liked the way John Lamar, Jay Lee says, you know, hey, we got to drink soda on the bridge of my last ship. Can we do, like, the delivery? I mean, that's funny on the page, but it's also funny in the delivery. And I remember a lot of people saying before that after the first episode that Gordon was their favorite. And I remember thinking, Gordon, he must have like 2 lines. I didn't really think about it, but no, actually he had a lot, and he was good. Which brings us to a good question here. Who were your 2?
Oh, okay, 2. So you already answered my first answer.
Who are your 2 favorite new characters? Because remember, because there are 9 if you include Yaphet, who had a couple lines. He's like, oh man, you okay, man? Whatever. So who are your 2 favorite characters based on only the first episode, Jennifer Jurassic Jen Durst?
Definitely Lamar and Gordon. It's the way that they hit, like that scene when they're on the ship and they're like saying, oh, there's a pizza party, and they turn around, they're like, come on, can we go?
That was so good.
That
was a great one.
It's like, in the first episode, I was like, these 2 guys are going to be my favorite, because they hit those jokes, like you said, and they're the kind of comedy I love. So, and they work together. They're just like, they're great together. They're perfect. So, and that was the episode. So I was like, okay, these 2 guys are amazing.
Yeah, they're like 2 numbskulls. They're just like the 2 kids in the back of the room that are playing.
Met, and they're on the same page about going to a pizza party that's fake, and they're the only ones that didn't get it. So.
Oh, Bortus, can we go to the pizza party? Come on, Bortus. Oh.
That I like laughed out loud again when I watched that part. I was like, I remember why I loved it.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they have that little bromance scene where they're in Malloy's quarters, and then Lamar comes in and he's like, hey, I just want to make sure you're not one of those guys. I forget what he says, but like, it's kind of like a screw around or something like that. But he's like, but I am. And he's like, all right, cool, we're going to get along great. And I was like, that was like the beginning of their little bromance.
Yeah, he just came in and said, oh, it's just kind of coming in to say hello. He's like, in other words, you wanted to see the guy that you're going to be working with every day and want to make sure he's not a jerk. And he's like, yeah, kind of. He's like, dude, I'm such a jerk.
Oh, that's right.
Like, so am I. This is going to work out great. Yeah, that was very good. What about you, Michael? Your favorite 2?
That's tough. I mean, definitely Malloy was number 1. I had written that down in my notes because I knew that we were going to be asking that question, because we asked it every episode. So I always make notes about that. So he was definitely my number 1 in this episode. He was my number 1. But then to say something different than Jen, I'll just say Mercer. I mean, Mercer, he was good. I mean, he he played it well, and I liked. Going through what he went through is kind of traumatic to walk in on your spouse cheating on you with a blue Rob Lowe, who then blew his load all over the bed.
And stained things.
Blew his blue load all over the bed.
I spelled him in my notes as RAWBLOW. Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Oh,
Anyway.
Okay. Interesting. But then also give a shout out to our homeboy Brian George, Babu Bot, who shows up.
Right.
Babu Bot.
That's from Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Babu, no.
WTF Seinfeld. He showed
WTF
up
Seinfeld. Yeah.
in another show that we watched too, and we mentioned him. But
What was it?
I don't remember what show it was, but
The Witcher.
no, it wasn't. He wasn't in The Witcher.
Oh, Babu. No, I don't think. I'll tell you my two favorites. Contrary to the first time I watched it, I have to agree that one of my two favorites was Gordon Malloy. I didn't see it the first time, but this time, absolutely, easily. And just to be different from Michael, I will say the other one is John Lamar. Because it really was. Those two were, in that first episode, they had the best moments.
Right.
It was all comedy, or it was cute, cute how they kind of made friends, but it was all on the comedic and light side. And I'm sure later on there are going to be other people that have great moments. But the best moments were them together or apart. I didn't really think all the jokes landed, like when Gordon's doing I'm drinking at 9:15 a.m. We're like, my only thought was like 9:15. Should it be like 0700 hours really when they're 0500 hours for like spaceship people? But that the drinking thing, whatever. But the delivery in most of their jokes really is what did it for me. I'd say those two. But then let's flip this thing over. Jen, who were the two characters that you were the least interested in?
In the first, it's hard because I have seen more, right. So it's hard to think of the first. In the first episode, probably Grayson, because you're mad at her. She cheated, but there is sort of some kind of she is trying kind of thing. But I would have to say she was probably one of my least favorites. And this is a hard one because I really love all the characters. It's almost perfect.
We're talking only main cast members or everybody in the show?
You can include Yaphet. So that would be out of the nine people the 8 main cast members, and Yaphet's in half the episodes.
I guess the other one would be that I wasn't that interested in the first episode would be Isaac, maybe.
What?
Just because
Isaac.
The first episode.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so
because in the first episode I didn't really get a lot from that character. I don't know. But I said, I'm just pulling because I really enjoyed all of them. So.
Yeah, we're not saying you disliked them, just
just
got the least
thinking
enjoyment.
First episode, who really didn't stand out to me in the first episode, I probably would say Isaac.
What about you, Michael?
We're talking two characters? Obviously Yaphet doesn't have much to him. He's kind of just there so that Mercer can run through him for that joke. That was the only reason why he was in that episode, and kind of maybe to give him a little bit of an introduction, but it's kind of hard to hate on Norm Macdonald, but I'll say that just because he didn't really have any purpose in this episode, just except for a one-liner joke or two-liner joke, I would say Yaphet is one. And then also probably what's the doctor's name?
Claire Finn.
Claire Finn, yeah. I was gonna say Cassidy Yates, but
you may. That's okay.
Dr. Cassidy Yates. Yeah, no. I mean,
Jen is so confused right now.
Oh, because I don't know.
Just because she didn't really have much of a role in this first episode either. So.
Right. Cassidy Yates, Jen, is from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. She's the actress that plays Cassidy Yates as well. I'll tell you who I don't want to say least favorite, but the two people that I was least interested in, at least initially, easily Isaac, because he doesn't really say much of anything and he's not really that interesting. And I do think it's really tough to have a main character that cannot emote in the slightest with even just their eyes. You know, like whenever they have aliens or robots or monsters, you got to at least let them, you know, have eyes or eyebrows or smile, you know, and this is like just, which adds to the humor. I get it. It kind of works okay, either for humor or for fear, you know, to not be able to read somebody. But I would have preferred if they went in the way that most people do with an android, which is, you know, just have a person playing an android, you know. So I definitely think that's an easy one for me. I feel like it's too easy to say Yaphet too, but, you know, we didn't get anything from him. We hardly got anything from the Doctor as well. We got something, and Bortus was okay, but I guess it's easy to say Yaphet and Isaac for me.
Well, I'll play the advocate of the devil to both of you, and I'll say that the reason why I found Isaac interesting, not just this rewatch, but also the first watch, is like Mercer says, "Aren't you guys racist?"
Yes, I put that. Actually, that was great. Notoriously racist, he says.
Oh yeah. We are superior to humans and other emotional biological creatures, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that to me was enough for me to be interested in his character and be like, okay, this is somebody that I need to watch and be interested in, and you know, we know what happens later, but in this first episode, at least, I mean, that to me was enough for me to be interested in that character.
Yeah, it was a funny delivery too. He's like, "Wait, Kalon, aren't you guys like notoriously racist?" And I didn't remember that from the first watch, but then when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, that's funny. I like that." Mm-hmm. What do you think about Jen? You think racism is funny?
No, but speaking of that, that's the same thing that kind of with it's Bortus, right? Bortus, yeah, because you think I thought he said Boris, but that's the same thing with him, because it's like he only pees once a year.
Right, yeah.
So all male species. So you get that from the first episode too. So that's why I kind of found him pretty interested even in the first episode, and his like no personality. Like everyone's trying to find out gossip, and he's like, "We shouldn't be talking about this." And so I think
agreed.
Was really like interesting, but we didn't get a lot out of him in the first episode, but just know his species and all that. I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, how big are their bladders? They only pee once a year. Jeez.
Right. I mean, they must
have a hollow leg
come out of them or
urine.
Something. Yeah, they must sweat it out or something. And they eat a ton of asparagus too. So in that once a year, it's pretty
stinky,
pretty hardcore.
And I do think that racism against humans is funny, because we're a savage child race, you know it.
That's right. And Jen, you know that quote is from Q in Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation, as you very well know.
Thanks for educating me.
See, now you have to watch these shows. You're interested now.
I've seen like episodes and I was pretty interested, but when I'm in conversations about it, I have no idea what's going on, because people talk characters and species and all that. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. That's why I thought I wouldn't get the Orville, but I did.
Mm-hmm. So. Species 8472, which, Jen, as you well know, is the species 8472. That's a Star Trek joke.
Yeah, from Voyager, right?
Learning.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. I really did. I am always interested in like favorite and least favorite characters, especially on a show like this. Later on, although, it almost to me felt like, well, let's not even talk about later on.
We're not. We only watched the first episode.
You're so right.
Talking about it.
I did think. What did you think of the slightly forced hello, you must be my new medical officer, and you are my chief of security. And what's
Right.
your, and everybody had like one little gag, but it was helpful for us.
Well, also when they introduced Lara, was it Malloy or something like? Don't you guys like have superhuman strength? Like
Exactly.
Like they have to introduce these aspects of those characters in a very short, 45-minute period of time. So
I think they did a good job on that. Really
Jen, what would they say? This is a good one. If you were in the Orville and you were part of the senior staff, and they go,
right.
Jennifer Durst, our new communications officer, and then they said, I heard that you, what would they say?
You mean like if they were introducing?
Yeah.
That I love dinosaurs.
How many have you had?
Human. I'm a human.
Oh, interesting.
What would they say about you, Ryan?
Probably nothing. I'd be like, anybody heard anything about me? And they'd be like, Ryan?
His name is Ryan.
You're a mystery.
Yeah. Mr.
He's a normal
E.
human, male, adult.
What would they say about you, Michael?
Person, man.
Okay. 3 very bland answers.
They would probably say I laugh a lot too.
Right, loudly. Loudly.
They do. Yeah, we're born members of the team.
Here's another big important question that we're going to hit. I mean, this is possibly the biggest question of the day for everything with the Orville. Overall, first episode, what did you think of the humor? We'll start with Michael.
I liked it. I mean, like I said a lot, I don't think that there were a few jokes that kind of fell a little bit flat for me. Like the whole banana stuff was kind of dumb to me. And I, by the way, I know for a fact that Ryan T. Husk, this gentleman right here,
does not fear the banana,
runs an Orville page on Facebook.
A group. And it's the largest Orville group in the world, probably in the universe, probably.
Hey, probably, yeah. And one thing I know about this group is that anything banana related at all, people will always share it to this group.
Oh, wow.
Even if it's like a picture of a banana split or something like that.
I know, they think it's so clever.
Yeah, these people are just like, oh, hey, look at this picture of a banana that I found. Aren't I funny? It's just, it was kind of dumb, the jokes that they were making. Oh, we need not fear the banana. Okay, well, obviously they're trying to show you something serious here that has other repercussions besides just aging a banana.
Yeah, I didn't even know that scene was supposed to be funny. I didn't at all.
Wow. I mean, I thought it was okay when they said, does it work on all fruit? What about salads? I'm like, okay, that's cute banter.
Okay, that one was all right. But,
yeah, that's cute banter.
But yeah, I mean, for me, the humor, I mean, I think that scene could have gone without any humor at all, really. I mean,
yeah, because it did get annoying. Like you said, it's like they're trying to tell you something serious. Like they're never going to finish talking if you keep on like with these jokes that aren't really that funny. So. And
as a result, now everybody shares everything banana in this group that Ryan runs.
Well, we don't even like approve all of those either. It's just like when it's a slow news day, we're just like, fine, here's a.
We'll approve 10 bananas a day.
But Jen, you brought up something before we get back to the humor. What's the joke that you made that fell the flattest? Do you remember a joke that you just thought was going to be so funny and you said it and nobody laughed? Nobody even knew that it was supposed to be funny?
What, like me or in the show? Me. Well, I do have a weird story. When I was 19, I was actually in a competition and I practiced this monologue. It was a comedy monologue. And I practiced it in a class, and I had like 3 jokes in the monologue, and they always hit in the class, but I think they were just faking it. So I went up with like the best confidence ever, and no one laughed at any of the jokes in the comedy monologue competition, and I was embarrassed. So I don't remember.
You don't remember any of the jokes you told?
Something about
jokes?
Oh, it was like I had a fish named Herman, and he was sick, but he had water in the knee or something like that, and no one laughed because he's a fish to get water.
The fish had water in his knee.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
that's
Squirm and Herman.
Well,
Eesh! Oh, hey.
So then, but my class at the time laughed, but obviously you learn later on that they just laugh to support you and not train you to go up in front of a real competition and get no laugh.
Sometimes though, you'll say something funny and you might have said it a little bit differently, or on one certain day,
or just a different crowd.
But one joke that I have that has never gotten a laugh, and I'm sure it won't get and I think it's hilarious, but for some reason, I mean, probably because it's not funny, but I think it's hilarious. But this joke goes, it's like an opener. So I'll walk out and say, "Hi, my name is Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. And if you've never heard of me, it's because I haven't been invented yet."
We're in the class.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no.
Was that the joke?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and then
yeah.
also I'll have a follow-up that'll say, and if you have heard of me, it's because you've got the mysterious ability to see into the future.
The first part's funnier than the second part.
Well, I think neither of them are probably fun. I think they're hilarious, but every time I've ever tried them on stage, I've never gotten a laugh. So,
I mean,
not the best opener.
I thought my fish having water in the knee was hilarious, but no one laughed at that.
In the knee?
Yeah, because like you get water in your knees. So that was part of the joke of a fish. Yeah, you could. Look it up.
It is. I have heard it. It is a thing. I think it's in the game Operation. Even right, there's like a bucket of water that you have to pull out of the knee or something.
A term where there's like fluid in your knee, so they say like you have like water in the knee or something.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant like you go in the ocean and like it seeps.
And then you get water.
Knee. You just have really thin skin in your knee.
No,
and it just
that's why no one got the joke. Now it makes sense. It wasn't me. It was the
steering clear of bad humor. Let's finish the
Wait,
talk
what about you though, Ryan? Let's hear about your.
I honestly can't think of one. I get a lot. I do a lot of jokes that only I think are funny, but like I still consider those wins because they make me laugh. So like I don't even really know which ones aren't funny because they all make me laugh. But I get a lot of like pauses where people go, "Was that a joke?" And then they laugh at the fact that was a joke, or they laugh at the fact that I'm laughing at how hilarious that joke was that they clearly just didn't get. That's kind of how it works for me, but I can't think of one specific. Sorry to say. Well, I mean, I'm sure through the rest of this episode, I'll say
you'll
something that's.
You'll make a few that go over our heads.
Yeah.
Every pun ever. Yeah.
Or under your brows. So anyway, Michael, what did you think of the humor overall?
I answered that question already, and I liked it.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were done with that. What about you, Jen? Overall, what do you think of the humor of the show?
Overall, I loved it. Like, for the first episode, it wasn't as much as I thought, but there was stuff that stuck out in my head that I laughed out loud. And I feel like first episodes are always, like, weird like that. You might not laugh out loud in the first one. You have to give it a chance or whatever. But one scene that stood out, and this is the type of humor I love, is, like, when they were talking to the crew and like they're in this serious negotiation thing and he's just like, move over to the side more. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And like he's like listening to him. So it's like stuff like that like makes me laugh so much. Like,
sorry,
so
you were just framed weird. I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah, the little.
And then, I don't know. That just made me laugh out loud too. Or like at the end when he's trying to have a serious conversation and that like guy, I don't know if he was cleaning windows or whatever, but he kept like distracted by him. Like those are the type of things that I like die laughing. And I feel like it delivered in that sense for me.
That's what Seth MacFarlane's so good at, especially like on Family Guy, is these little slice of life things where it's like, it's not so much a joke. It's more like a thing that just kind of happens in life where you go, oh yeah, I recognize that strange or weird or annoying thing in life. Like when he says, "Do you see that dog licking his balls?" He's like, "First thing I noticed." Because we're all watching like, is there a dog licking his, I see. But I'll tell you, I thought the humor again was better this time around than the first time I watched it. I appreciated it a little bit more, probably because of the delivery again. overall, I'd say 80% of the jokes or the humor worked in some capacity or another. Only a little bit of it didn't. Like the little subtle things. Like I thought it was funny when he says, when they're trying to escape and Babu's like, okay, he says, hey, follow Alara. And Babu goes like, which one's Alara? I'm like, that's funny because.
Sorry, I'm still learning names. Yeah.
Yeah. And she says, I'm Alara. And he's like, oh, sorry, I'm still learning names. But it's like, that's how it is in real life. Like
Right.
I do wonder that sometimes when it's like, they just meet like 7 people and they're like, okay, you do this, you do. And he's like, well, am I really supposed to remember everybody's name, especially first and last name? You're calling them lieutenant this and commander that. And they're a different race for all we know,
But that's what makes you laugh when it's relatable. It's funnier when it's relatable. So it's like that. Even when he's like Happy Arbor Day or something. And then
I got it.
It's this whole serious scene. I got the joke. But then after like there was a whole thing about like what was that supposed to mean? I don't know what that is. Like it was just the way he does it is really funny. Like
well, Kelly's joke too, got wood or something like that. Like that was less funny to me than.
But of course, that
funny
wasn't funny at all. But then of course everybody's like, oh yeah, that's funny. Oh, that's a good one.
Joke to be honest. I was like,
yeah,
what?
I think that was the point. You got wood, and everybody laughed. And then Gordon's like, yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
But to add to that Arbor joke thing, Arbor Day, people were like, no, I didn't know. And then Babu, who of course the scientist, he's like, I got it.
I knew.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. That was a good addition. That's realistic. I think the humor was good, right? We all kind of.
Oh yeah, I thought it was great.
Loved it.
I chucked it up.
Mm-hmm.
I got some chucks out of it.
I love when I watch a show and I actually laugh out loud. Like I'm not just like, I'm like, like for real. That's when I know the show got me.
What are like the different levels of laughs that you usually give? You only demonstrated 2 right there.
I feel like there's the like.
Oh, there was a third one.
There's like, when you're watching something that's kind of funny, you get it, you're like, and then there's like, and then there's like the, oh God, so funny. And then if you're by yourself, you like wish somebody else was there so they could see it too, but they didn't because you're by yourself. So those are like the 3 levels.
It's always better for me to watch something with my wife because she laughs loudly and openly, and that just makes me crack up always. So.
You laugh loudly and openly too. You're a very willing laugher.
Not as much as she does. And when she's laughing and then I'm laughing, there's a lot of laughter going on.
Jen, what is your highest laugh level before we put the laughter to bed?
Probably snorting. But no show has ever had me snort. Only things that happen in real life have me snort.
I could say a few things that'll make you laugh, snort. Actually,
I feel like
oh yes, I've seen it a lot of times.
But like to the point where I can't control it, and like I feel like I'm getting abs because it hurts my sides of laughter. But I can't recall a show that made me do it. It's possible, but I can't like think of a show that actually made me get that far in laughter.
I think Superstore did.
Superstore makes me like the 3rd degree laugh, but I don't think snorting yet.
It's like a science. Okay.
What the WTF Superstore?
That's a great one. Yeah. You're right, Michael.
We would love to watch that one, but we can't unless somebody writes it in the comments.
Unlock our hands. Unchain us.
I'll go after this and just write them all for you.
All right. Sounds great.
Seinfeld.
WTF Robotech. Okay, so here's another big question. I mean, these are all.
We deal with the big questions here, so that's what we do.
Well, really, the Orville itself sets up big questions for us, and this one is. It's going to get a lot of comparisons to Star Trek. Once we watch it, we see that the comparisons are very specific to 80s and 90s Star Trek. It's not just like Star Trek Enterprise or the original series Star Trek. It has the aesthetics of 90s Star Trek, especially Next Generation, secondarily Voyager, I'd say. I don't know. But it also draws comparisons to Galaxy Quest, for example.
Oh, I love that movie.
In tone, So I guess the question is, number one, what do you think of the aesthetics in comparison to Next Generation 90s Star Trek? And the other half of that is, do you think it's closer to 90s Star Trek or to Galaxy Quest?
You know I can't answer that.
Yeah, you can. Give it a shot.
I don't even know.
Where's the snort?
From what I heard, that the lessons in it and stuff like that kind of compared to Star Trek, from what I've heard. And I told you I've seen a few Star Treks, and there are like these lessons, almost like Twilight Zone-y kind of things. But Galaxy Quest, the humor's there. When you said that right now, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, I haven't seen Galaxy Quest in a really long time, but I'm like, oh my God, that movie was so funny. And the jokes like set in just like, so I think the humor part of it compares with it. And then the more serious part probably compares with Star Trek.
Oh, that's a great answer, actually.
Yeah. Tough act to follow, Michael. What do you think?
Well, I'll agree with Jen, but the one thing I'll add is that like the design of the ship reminds me a little bit more of Galaxy Quest, except for the interior reminds me of Star Trek, and the uniforms remind me of Galaxy Quest. But then I'll also agree with the things that Jen said as well.
I like it so much better when you guys fight.
Sorry.
Now.
I had the benefit of thinking about this ahead of time, and I kind of did think about it for a few minutes. And I think for me, most people expected the Orville to be a Star Trek parody. They incorrectly, in my opinion, assumed it was a Star Trek parody. It's very clearly not. It's a love letter to 90s Star Trek from a devout fan, but his personal spin, his flavor, his brand on it. So although it seems like it would be closer to Galaxy Quest because it's like Star Trek but comedy, it's not. It's really very much like Star Trek. They even have some of the crew and the writers and the producers formerly of 90s Star Trek that are there, and that's why some of the episodes even seem to recycle the themes a little bit.
Yeah.
But speaking just on this first episode, the lighting, the colors, the just the feel, everything, everything. The music was great, by the way, Michael. I wanted to kind of point that out because you're getting pretty good at scoring yourself. I thought the scoring was great. It was reminiscent also of 90s Star Trek. I don't know. It does have its place in the extended universe of Star Trek fandom, I think.
Another good answer. Yeah. Great answers all around. Especially mine. Yeah.
Jen, what did you think of my answer?
Oh, it was magnificent.
I'm going to go look up what magnanimous means.
Yeah.
That's
It's funny that what you said too, because before I heard of the Orville, and like I said, I heard more of like Seth MacFarlane. That's what like interests me. But people, when I would say like, what is it about? I would hear a lot of people be like, Star Trek, but funny, or right. Star Trek, but like, so that is a good point that you made, that it's so much more than that. So.
Star Trek, but funny.
There is some humor in Star Trek, but not as much as this, obviously.
Yeah.
Totally. The humor in Star Trek is like, that's our war.
That's Data. That's how Data rolls.
Guys. Oh, here comes Riker. Yeah. Right, Jen?
Shut up, Wesley.
All right. Well, Jennifer, Jen Dursty, let's talk about you for a moment, shall we?
The Jurassicist of Jens.
Jurassic.
You are an actress. Everybody knows this. By the way, everybody, check out Jen's previous episodes with us. In the comments, in the description box below, check out her information, which was what Michael was pointing at.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I know. I did a curveball. But also check out the previous episodes that she's done with us that were a lot of fun. A couple of them.
Mandalorian and Firefly.
Those are the ones.
Lots of fun.
And this is the best one you've done so far, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. No, they're all great. So we've covered, what a great actress you are and the types you like to play and how hilarious you are. But let's talk today more about social media, the things that are starting to really pick up in the world today. And you have a fairly successful Instagram account, right? What is that?
I do. Well, everybody knows I love Jurassic Park. So I have two Instagram accounts because one, people were getting tired of me of posting on my normal one, which is at Jen Dursty. People were getting tired of me posting about Jurassic Park. So I made a whole separate one dedicated to Jurassic Park, and that one got like way more followers. So I try to keep it updated, and like I try to be interested and not boring in it, but sometimes it's hard to keep it up, but it's fun. It's like a hobby to me. So it's at jurassic.gen. And I before the whole quarantine stuff, I was doing a bunch of Jurassic sketches and all that stuff that I was adding to the page. So it's been a little slow lately because there wasn't much material to do while we were quarantined, but it is a passion of mine. I've been trying to get into the movie, but they're already shooting, so maybe the TV show, and then you could do a WTF of the new Jurassic TV show, and I'll be in it.
I think we would.
Yes.
You do some Jurassic Park cosplay or something, I think I saw, right, too?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we actually just won. So we did a scene from Jurassic Park, and we did a scene from The Lost World. And the Jurassic Park scene, which we put so much time, effort, crew, all that stuff into it, did not win. But the Lost World one, where we did on a cell phone just for the fun of it, won. And we're going to be on the Sci-Fi channel when the Lost World airs. So they're going to show our little reenactment scene right before the movie. So it's pretty funny. I played Jeff Goldblum in it.
Do you have a pretty good Jeff Goldblum impression?
I don't. And the funny thing is, like, I did some of his lines, but the one we won for was so last minute. We just kind of like threw it out there and did it. I learned the lines like on the spot, and it's so hard to be Jeff Goldblum where like his mannerisms and like the way he like speaks and like even just learning to try to do his lines exactly the same. It's just so much like like. And
yeah, don't just have to stutter.
Yeah, like. I think my line was like, she has to touch. She always has to touch. She can't not touch. And I'm like, what the heck? Like I have to like keep saying it in my head, like the way. but we won, so you'll see it on the Sci-Fi channel. So that was pretty exciting. Cool. So I've done that, and I do like I've done scenes from Jurassic Park, so we'll reenact the scenes from it, and I'll try to come as close to the characters as possible to be. So we get the lines down packed and we do all that. We did the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park. We did the Jello scene, which actually won too, and it was on IMAX in the Jurassic Park 25th anniversary. So I keep winning Jurassic Park contests, but I need to like win a role in the actual franchise.
Right. So how many times have you seen each of the Jurassic Park movies?
The first one, so many, I don't even know. But I could like word for word most of the scenes, first one. The other ones I'll watch like maybe twice a year or something like that. But like the first one for sure, like a few times a year, and even if you add up all the years since I first seen it, it's so it's just I can't imagine how much I've seen it.
What's your all-time favorite line in any of the Jurassic Parks?
I think one of my favorite lines.
Clever Girl.
Clever Girl's a good one. Oh, I have a shirt that says, "Hold on to your butt."
Is that from the movie?
Yes, Samuel Jackson said.
Okay.
He's like, "Hold on to your butts." I know you didn't understand the shirt before. You were like, "Hold my beer." Like, no. But this is one of my favorite lines. But I also love when she said, "Woman inherits the earth." It's like this whole scene where Jeff Goldblum's talking about something, and she said, I don't know, it just felt very powerful to be that character and like kind of put him in his place kind of thing. It was kind of cool to like hear that. So, but everything that Jeff Goldblum says in the movie is a favorite line of mine. He's just the best.
So you like Jeff Goldblum, I'm guessing.
I love him. I love his character. But people are always like, ooh, he's so hot. And I'm like, I don't find him hot. I just love him, like, as a person. Like, he's just, he's somebody I would love to meet. So he's great. But
you should go do it.
That's my little Jurassic World. But the main goal in it is it's like, I've done a few interviews and stuff like that. It just, like, made me want to be an actress, that movie. So people thought it was, like, a phase and everything, but it's not, because I'm still it means a lot. Like, it's like, but it just means a lot more than it looks. Like, people are just like, oh my God, you're, like, older and you like this. And I'm like, shut up. It's very meaningful to me, the movie, more than just being a fan of it. So, and hopefully one day I get to be a part of the franchise. I feel like that's one of my main goals as an actress, is to be a part of it somehow.
If they said that you could have one scene, whether it's handing someone a coffee, or whether it's getting eaten by a dinosaur, I know your eyes are going to light up at that one, or if it's like saying something to Jeff Goldblum, like, you can't go in there, like one moment, what would you want that moment to be?
I already played it in my head. I want, like, an amazing death scene, but I want lines in it. I want it to be so epic where people are like, oh my God, like, I did not expect her to get killed, but she did, kind of thing. But of course I want lines with it. So I don't want it to just be like, I want just like, and then I'm dead. Even though I did join a competition to get eaten by a dinosaur in this movie, I was like, if I can't be in it, I'm going to somehow be in it. But some guy named So, but yeah, like, we'll see what happens. I think the franchise might be ending in the movies right now. It's, like, pretty big, this last movie, but there's talks of a TV show, and there's, like, a cartoon coming out, which I would love to do voiceovers for. But if I would love to be, like, a part of it, a TV show would be amazing. So
yeah, aren't they bringing back the original cast from the first movie for this next movie?
They were saying that this Jurassic, I don't know if it's gonna be. It's apparently the last of the franchise, but who knows? But they have, like, a huge cast. They're bringing back all the Jurassic Park cast members. They're bringing back
the ones that survived.
Huh?
The ones that survived.
Yeah, not Wayne Knight.
The ones that survived. Well, not all of them. Like, yeah. Well, he's dead. Imagine they bring him back in a flashback. They're even bringing back Dotson. When he's like, we got Dotson over here, but it's a different actor because that other guy was, like, a pedophile or something, like the actor in it.
Oh.
So they bring back all these characters from Jurassic World, from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, from Jurassic Park, the first one. It's just like, they're calling it, like, the Avengers, the Endgame, because they're just bringing back all these characters. Like, can you just fit me in it? Like, damn it. So.
Only if you were in a previous movie.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there's new characters too. There's, like, so they're having all these old characters come back and a bunch of new characters. So it's going to be like this movie must be like 3 hours long, but whatever. I'll enjoy it, I guess. I'll be bitter that I'm not in it, but I'll enjoy it.
What's the over-under on how many contests you've entered to be in Jurassic Park? Like 12?
Oh, I haven't. No. I never actually entered a contest besides the last one that they just did they were like, oh, you can get eaten by a dinosaur, and they're, like, going to put, like, a really cool scene together if you donate money or whatever. So I was like, oh, it's a good cause. And maybe I'll at least get out there, and then I'll just beg for more lines when I'm on set, and so that they throw me off. So I was, like, working my way inside of it. But some others I want. But I
directors love that, right, Michael?
They love that. The directors love that, totally.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
The other contests were just contests, like, for fun. Like, I didn't even know, like, where to go or anything. So now they just, like, show it or whatever. So it's not to actually be in the movie. It was just kind of, like, for fun. So, but yeah, but maybe one day. The director, I met the director, like, twice. And he said he heard of Jurassic Gen. He never heard of Durst, but he heard of Jurassic Gen. So
hey, that's a start.
Did something good. So yeah, but
it's a big start.
It's a big start, but yeah, that's my love. But of course, as an actress, I want to be, like, a series regular on any good show or movies or commercials or anything like that. I just want to be, like, acting. So
great. We want you to be acting too. You're an excellent actress.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I worked with Ryan before as an actor.
So good. So good. No, she's the best. She's the best.
Oh, thank you.
Michael, you know what time it is, right?
Ugh.
Jen, Jen, do you know what time it is?
No.
She's so scared. Well, it's time. Well, Mike, do you want to tell her?
No. I refuse to utter those words.
It's time for what Mike affectionately calls the terrible twos.
Oh.
What are the terrible twos? Well, Mike came up with this thing. He said, look, there's this thing called the terrible twos. It's such a great idea. It's the final two questions of the episode. Kind of bookends it, kind of closes it down for us. And I was like, terrible twos? That sounds weird. He's like, just terrible twos, terrible twos. So anyway, he wins that.
Bullshit.
He wins that. So the terrible twos. Here we go. Big money. So the first one is, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode, Jennifer Durst, of the Orville, that is?
You know I'm a fan, so I'm going to say 10.
Wow.
I love it. And I was shocked that I loved it so much, so it actually raised it higher.
Wow, yeah.
Do you give 10s often?
No, I don't think I ever gave one, did I?
Well, I just mean in life.
I feel like giving a 10 has to mean a lot because that's like max, you know?
Yeah,
so
it's a perfect score.
I don't give it a lot. Like, I feel like nothing's ever perfect. And I'm not saying Orville is perfect, but I think I went in with that expectation of like a lower expectation. And then I got like a lot more than I expected. So that's why I could say like a 10.
Nice.
Maybe 9.5 so we don't make it perfect, but it's very close to 10.
Well, which one is it?
We'll say 9.5 because we don't want to make anything like it's like whatever. But I love the actors. I love the comedy in it. I love the storyline. I love it. That's why I said it was genius before. I just think like the writing's really well done. So.
All right. So Jen thinks the Orville is the perfect show and no show is ever going to be better than it.
She talked her way down to a 9.5.
Because I can't say perfect, I guess.
What about you, Michael?
I would say 8.5. I thought it was solid. It was good. I mean, not perfect, Jen. Sorry, but
that's why I broke it down.
But yeah, it was a solid, good episode. I mean, they introduced all the characters well, I guess, and they introduced the comedy well, which you know it's going to be a part of the show moving forward. That's always something that I enjoy is when they bring those kinds of elements into the first episode. So okay, there's going to be these cool science fiction things like this ray that can age things, accelerate aging of things. So that's like a cool science fiction idea. And then they brought that in. And so we know that we're going to see more of that kind of thing in the series to come. We know that there's going to be conflict between Ed and Kelly. We know that Malloy and Lamar are gonna be goofing around. So
right.
So those kinds of things, they bring them in on the first episode, and then you see them throughout the series. And I've seen the rest of the series so far, so I can say that with confidence that they do that, and I think they do it well. But at the same time, there were some things that were a little bit lacking. Obviously, all these science fiction tropes, we've seen them all before. They've all been done. I mean, obviously, I don't know 100% that we've ever seen an aging ray, but I mean, that kind of thing has been done before. So it lacks a little bit of originality, but I do enjoy the fact that it is kind of a new take on Star Trek from the 90s, as Ryan said. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen an aging ray, but we've certainly seen things that aged people. Yeah,
Right.
That's true. That's true. So for me, I think I would give it a solid 8 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Because?
Because
you have to justify your answer now.
Yeah, no, because it was good. It was the plot was kind of weak, but I can look past that because the first episode they're just trying to introduce all the characters. You know, the first half of the episode is introducing everything.
Right.
And so the plot of the actual conflict of the show has to be a much smaller and shorter and easier one to knock out in 20 minutes. Whereas from here on out, presumably, you've got the full 45 minutes to do a full thing. But this one, it really only had like 20 minutes with which to work. So, you know, I can pass. I can give him a pass on that. The humor was about a B, you know, because there were some misses, but the deliveries were all good. The deliveries were all correct. And all the characters were fine. None of them were unlikable. You know, sometimes you see a new character and you're just like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, give it an 8, which is, again, higher than what I would have given it the first time around. I think the first time around to give it like a 6, 6.5, something like that. But I give it an 8. I think I was fine with it. I was happy. It's maybe because I've already seen the show and I remember my old buddies from before. I'm like, you rascals. It's good to see you again. So
Ryan says to the Orville, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're an 8.
Get it, Jen?
See, it went like that and then came back around.
Ew.
Nate.
So the final question is, for the purposes of this podcast, we had to watch the first episode. Jennifer Durst, now that the podcast is over, would you watch the second episode?
I already have. Yes.
Or would you watch the third episode?
I already have.
But what about the fourth?
Yes.
That's all the time we have to. Okay. What about you, Michael? After watching the first episode, would you watch the second?
Yeah, I would watch the second one again. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, especially having watched. It's been a while since I've watched this the first season at least, and rewatching it, you definitely pick up on things, some nuances that maybe you didn't pick up on the first time. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed kind of like seeing this crew again and really being able to study the show for this podcast and not just kind of watching it for enjoyment. So,
but still enjoying it.
I did, yeah.
Mike's like, this is work, dude. There's nothing damn fun about this crap. I would watch it. I would watch the second episode the first time I watched it. And I would also watch the second episode the second time around as well. I think it was good enough both times to make me watch the second episode. So mission accomplished, Orville, even though not flying colors, but good enough, passing grade. And, the sky's the limit for them. Season 3 is coming out when, Jen?
I don't know. I heard the fall. I'm confused. I heard the fall, but then I don't know if they needed to shoot it and now they can't. I don't know. But
yeah,
hopefully,
that's the real trick, isn't it?
It's a trick. I've been waiting for it to come out patiently.
All right. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys. Well, this podcast had jokes that didn't land.
This podcast was funnier than those banana jokes.
This podcast was so much fun. I give it a 10.
Good answer.
Yes. Well, that's all the time we have for this week.
Don't forget to leave us a like. Hit that subscribe button. Tell us in the comments. WTF? Space Invaders? I don't know. Is that a show? Probably not.
Should be. WTF Smurfs? WTF what's happening?
WTF what's happening now?
Oh.
WTF 227.
Oh, wow. We're going back.
Anyway, I thought you were going to say the Jeffersons, Jen.
Oh,
Jen Jefferson. Okay, so thank you all for joining us on Watch the First podcast with Falling Tower. We are celebrating 20 years of Falling Tower magic. Actually, 20 years and like a little bit more. 20 years plus at this point, but that's kind of the impetus for all this. Impetus, yep. I said, Jen. Anyway, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time on Falling Towers WTF podcast.
Don't forget to watch the first of things, as Ryan likes to say.
That's my favorite line that you say that I've never said.